I am Dr. Jessie John, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. And today we will discuss the mechanics of the respiration. We will discuss all the respiratory movements and what factors will contribute in the respiratory movement. नमस्ते हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया Respiration consists of two phases. Everybody know that is the inspiration and the expiration, and which are accompanied by the alternate increase and decrease of the capacity of the thoracic cavity. The respiratory rates varies between 16 and 20 per minute in normal resting patients and faster in children and slower in elderly. So what is the respiratory rate? That is the 16 and to 20 normal healthy individual and the resting point, and it will be fast in the children and will be slow in the elder human beings. Now we'll see the what is the inspiration. Compare the thoracic cavity to a box with a single entrance at the top, which is a tube called the trachea, and capacity of the box can be increased by elongating all its diameters, and this results in air under atmosphere pressure entering the box through the tube. So what will happen when we will increase the capacity of the lung, and here we compare it to a box, and then there will be the pressure that will fall down within box or the lung, then mm, the air that present in the atmosphere will come into the lung. We have seen that will come into the lungs or the box. Quiet inspiration, the diameter of the thoracic cavity will be increased. That is the vertical diameter, anterior-posterior diameter, and transverse diameter. Vertical diameter, theoretically the roof could be raised and the floor lowered. Roof is formed by the suprapleural membrane and it is fixed. Conversely, the floor is formed by the mobile diaphragm. When the diaphragm contracts, the dome of the diaphragm becomes flattened and the level of the diaphragm is lowered. As the diaphragm descends on inspiration, intra-abdominal pressure rises. The rise of the pressure is accommodated by the reciprocal relaxation of the abdominal wall musculature. So we have seen in vertical diameter, because roof is fixed and floor is lower down because of the diaphragm contraction, and where is diaphragm contract and lower down, then intra abdominal pressure rises and it will uh, accommodate by the reciprocal relaxation of the abdominal wall musculature. Whereas diaphragm contract, then abdominal wall muscles will relax. We have seen how the diaphragm will descend, how it will contribute in increase of the vertical diameter of the thoracic cavity. Now we'll see the anterior posterior diameter. If the downward sloping ribs were raised at the sternal ends, the anterior posterior diameter of the thoracic cavity would be increased and the lower end of the sternum would be thrust forward. This can be brought about by fixing the first rib by the contraction of the scalene muscle of the neck and contracting the intercostal muscles. By this means, all the ribs are drawn together and raised towards the first rib. So, in this way, the diameter in the anterior posterior will be raised. Now you will see how it will raise. All the ribs will move towards the first rib, So thoraco anterior-posterior uh, diameter will increase. Now we'll see the transverse diameter. The ribs articulate in front with the sternum via the costal cartilage and behind with the vertebral column. Because the ribs curve downward as well as forward around the chest wall, they resemble bucket handles. It therefore follows that if the ribs are raised, the transverse diameter of the thoracic cavity will be increased. As described previously, this can be accomplished by fixing the first rib and raising the other ribs to each by contracting the intercostal muscles. So you have seen how the diameter will increase. Apart from the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles, other less important muscles also contract on inspiration and assist in elevating the ribs, namely the levator costarum muscles and the serratus posterior and superior muscles. So these are all the movement that will increase the diameter in transverse or the anterior posterior and vertical aspect. Now we will see the forced expiration. In D forced inspiration, a maximum increase in the capacity of the thoracic cavity occurs. Every muscle that can raise the rib is brought into action, including the scalenus anterior and medius and sternocleidomastoid. In respiratory distress, the action of all the muscles already engaged become more violent and the scapulae are fixed by the trapezius, levator scapulae, and rhomboid muscles, enabling the serratus anterior and pectoralis minor to pull up their ribs. If the upper limb can be supported by grasping a chair, back, or table, the sternal origin of the pectoralis major muscle can also assist the process. Lung changes on inspiration. In inspiration, the root of the lung descends and the level of the bifurcation of the trachea may be lowered by as much as 2 vertebrae. The bronchi elongate and dilate, and the alveolar capillaries dilate. With expansion of the lung, the elastic tissue in the bronchial wall and connective tissues are stretched. As the diaphragm descends, the costo-diaphragmatic recesses of the pleural cavity opens, and the expanding sharp lower edges of the lung descend to a lower level. Expiration. Flight expiration is largely a passive phenomenon and brought about by the elastic recoil of the lungs, the relaxation of the intercostal muscles and diaphragm, and increase in tone of muscles of the anterior abdominal wall, which force the releasing diaphragm upward. Serratus posterior inferior muscles play a minor role in pulling down the lower ribs. Forced expiration is an active process brought about by the forcible contraction of the musculature of the anterior abdominal wall. The quadratus lumborum also contracts and pulls down the 12th ribs. Some of the intercostal muscle may contract and pull their ribs together and depress them to lower 12th rib. Serratus posterior inferior and the latissimus dorsi muscle may also play a minor role. Lung changes on expiration. In expiration, the root of the lungs ascends along with the bifurcation of the trachea. The bronchi shorten and contract. The elastic tissue of the lung recoils and the lungs become reduced in size. While the upward movement of the diaphragm, the costo-diaphragmatic recess becoming reduced in size, the lower margins of the lung shrink and rise to a higher level. Now we will see the types of the respiration. The abdominal type of the respiration. In babies and young children, the ribs are nearly horizontal. Thus, babies have to rely mainly on the descent of the diaphragm to to increase their thoracic capacity on inspiration, because this is accompanied by marked inward and outward extrusion of the anterior abdominal wall, which is easily seen. Respiration at this age is referred to as the abdominal type of the respiration. After the second year of their life, the ribs become more oblique and the adult form of respiration is established. Now we'll see the thoracic type of respiration. In the adult, a sexual difference exists in the type of the respiratory movements. The female tends to rely mainly on the movements of the ribs rather than on the descent of the diaphragm on inspiration. This is referred to as the thoracic types of respiration. Male uses both the thoracic and abdominal forms of the respiration, but mainly the abdominal form. Now there is two assignment question. These are, first is what are types of the respiration? You have to explain it. And second is what is forced expiration? Explain in brief. Thank you so much.